regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the City of LaGrange. We will begin with an invocation to be offered by Reverend Ann Baker of Word of Grace Christian Center, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Loving Father, we come, Lord, just giving you thanks and praise for another day. We thank you, O God, for how you protected us and embraced us, Lord God, with your love and your kindness. We invite your presence in our midst this evening as we come together to discuss the good of our community and our city. Father, we ask you, Lord God, that you would just to be in our midst, God, and give us the wisdom that we need, Lord God, to discuss the issues that is put before us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members have all been given a copy of the minutes of the regular council meeting held on February the 9th. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, a second to approve. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That passes unanimously. I'm delighted tonight to be able to recognize some of the hard-working members of the LaGrange city staff. As many of you know, LaGrange operates obviously animal services inside the city. We also operate an animal shelter that serves beyond the city, and serves the entire county. And we have been very proud of the members of our animal services staff for many years, but especially in recent months as they have achieved some great milestones and recognition. They've been recognized by the Atlanta Humane Society and have received a grant for some work that they're doing. They continue to do great work with the puppy pipeline, and most recently they were designated as a no-kill shelter at the animal shelter. And so these are great accomplishments and achievements for a 4-member staff. And so at this time I would like to take an opportunity to recognize the members of the staff. If I could invite the 4 members of Animal Services staff, as well as Captain File, to come forward and join me here at the podium. If I could get y'all to maybe line across here and face the council, and then we'll do some. I'm going to present a proclamation, and then we'll do have some photo opportunity. So first, I would like to read into the record a proclamation from the office of the mayor, LaGrange, Georgia. Whereas the right to live is every animal's most basic and fundamental right, life always takes precedence over expediency. And whereas every year shelters in the United States are killing millions of animals who could be saved, and are also killing millions of free living organizations were founded to establish standards for humane treatment of animals, to promote their rights and to protect them from harm, which marked the formal beginning of the humane movement in the United States. And whereas the no-kill movement in the United States has successfully implemented new and innovative programs that provide alternatives to mass killing, and whereas life-saving change will come about only if no-kill programs are embraced and further developed, and whereas LaGrange Animal Services has received a $10,000 grant distributed by the Atlanta Humane Society to help save more animals, and whereas the Atlanta Humane Society recently chose LaGrange Animal Services to become part of their statewide outreach program, which includes providing veterinary consultation and assistance to Georgia's shelters, determining potential funding opportunities and other services deemed beneficial by both parties involved. And whereas LaGrange Animal Services recently achieved no-kill shelter status, having achieved a 91% save rate. Now therefore I, Jim Thornton, Mayor of the City of LaGrange, do hereby proclaim that the City of LaGrange Animal Shelter has been established as a no-kill shelter, and commend our Animal Services staff, Chris Bussey, Natalie Johnson, David Mixon, and Dakota Davis, who have worked diligently for the implementation of this service that will end the mass killing of animals in the shelter. In the witness whereof, I'm herein to set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be affixed, February 9th, 2021. Will you please join me in thanking our Animal Services staff? And as some some of you probably know the Animal Services staff is part of our police department. And so we have Captain File, who supervises that part of the department, as well as Chief Dekmar here with us. If either of you would like to add anything to what I have said in the proclamation.
Well, Mayor, I'll say that you summed it up really well. Chris and his crew really have come together, and they work as a fluid team to take care of the animals that come into the shelter. So kudos to those guys.
Thank you. Chief?
Yes, when I first was given that responsibility over 20 years ago, it took several years before we could get the right team, and when I graciously made that responsibility Captain Files, he literally took a month and went down there and set up protocols and then handpicked Chris, who had just done an outstanding job with their team. The first several years that we had, at that time it was called animal control, we had over 5,000 animals that were euthanized every year. And to see that number drop to the level where we're declared a no-kill shelter is remarkable. And they're called upon, I know Chris and his team are called upon around the state for their expertise in developing the processes that they have. So I'm very proud of their work, and I appreciate the efforts that Captain File has been involved in to give them the support that they need. So thank you, Mayor, for recognizing them, and I appreciate the support the council's given us, because we have increased staff, but that was necessary in order to achieve what you are recognizing here this evening. So thank you.
Well, we're very grateful to you, and I have a proclamation here for each of you individually.
Thank you.
And then also have
Thank you so much.
also have the larger one you can place in the office.
Yes,
at
thank you.
Animal Services. Chris, anything you'd like to say? Are you okay? So if I understand. So if y'all would please join me, we'd like to take a group photo with the council. If I could get y'all to stand across here, and Captain and Chief, if y'all come in and join us.
Go ahead.
Show your teeth. Okay, great. Will you join me in thanking our Animal Services staff? Okay, we do not have any public hearings tonight, but we do, under delegations, have a presentation from Mr. Leon Childs. Mr. Childs, if you'd like to come to the podium. That's fine.
You mind if I leave the mask?
So,
$5. $5.
I think I can handle that.
yeah, I mean, if you need to, just try not to speak too closely to the microphone,
Okay.
because others might need to use the microphone later. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I won't need the microphone, you know, I got a loud.
I understand.
Whew. Yes. We'll bring the wind out of it. With consideration to your time, Ms. Olson and Jim. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and other officials. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come before you today and update you on the AGCAO After School Mentoring and Tutoring Program. The last year, all over the globe, in our nation, country, state, and city, it has been some difficult times for a lot of people. As we continue to battle a raging pandemic, an uncertain economy, and a divided government, we must still make education a priority. Since March of 2020, after the COVID-19 virus interrupted our daily lives, the AGCAO has taken the necessary steps to ensure the safety of the youth through the recommended CDC guidelines. Each student that enters the facility must sign in, pass a temperature check, wear a mask, and maintain 6 feet distance while they are in the facility. Hand sanitizer, Lysol, and all other safety protocol have been kept in consideration. Before the COVID-19 came, the AGCAO saw 40 to 45 kids per evening. Due to limited space and to maintain the recommended 6 feet distance, the program had to cut down to 20 students per evening. With 174 registered students on the waiting list, all tutors are paid $12.50 per hour, and all tutors are college students or teachers from the Troup County school system. The AGCAO received referrals from the Troup County Juvenile Division, Troup County School System, DFACS, churches, and the community. Besides tutoring and assisting the youth with their homework on a weekly basis, AGCAO also puts together initiatives in the community to keep the youth active and focused on education. August the 1st, the AGCAO had its annual book bag and supply giveaway. We were able to raise enough funding and garner enough support to where we gave away 800 book bags stuffed with supplies and material needed for the upcoming school year. November the 7th, the AGCAO mentoring program had its Boys to Men initiative. Over 40 young men ages 5 to 17 years old were dropped off by their parents from 9 in the morning to 2 in the evening and were inundated with messages of positivity, love, motivation to let them know that they can be anything in the world they want to be if they make the right decisions and right choices. Motivational speakers engaged the young men and answered many of their questions as it pertained to their lives. The young men were also provided with lunch and the 2020 Boys to Men t-shirts. December the 21st, the AGCAO mentoring program partnered with the Troup County Government Center and Judge Nina Marquette Baker for the AGCAO Youth Law Initiative. That was an initiative where students ages 10 to 17 years old had a chance to learn about the judicial system and to spark interest for their futures in becoming a lawyer, judge, prosecutor, or DA. Why does education need to be made a priority? One of the most common points of education would be better financial opportunities after high school or college. We all know that if you graduate high school or graduate college, you will make a substantial amount of money more than someone that dropped out of high school or college. In 2021, the AGCAO tutoring and mentoring program would like to thank each and every last one of you guys because you have supported us for the past 7 years. 7 years went by real fast. It's hard to believe we've been in you guys' heads for 7 years. It's been a headache to y'all for 7 years. And we thank you guys so very much for your support. The most unique attribute about the AGCAO is its ability to get the youth and the community to participate in programs and initiatives. This leads me to my next venture. I would like to introduce you to Mr. Kenneth Brewer, the owner and president of Santa Green Cleaners.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. Jim and I actually have kind of talked a little bit about this a little bit through social media. If I may approach, I'll put one of these on to kind of give you an idea of what my company does and what we're trying to accomplish. So basically what it is one night I was down doing one of the office buildings in Columbus. A lot of janitorial service, we work overnight. And as I was vacuuming, I just started to think, that's a lot of my time I do my meditation. And I got to thinking, I said, I've been very, very involved with youth probably for the past 20 years. I've done a lot of things in the community with youth, some with him actually as well. But I was thinking of a way that we could actually get them involved early, because I think we all can agree that early childhood education, number one, is very, very important. That deters a lot of things that happen later on in life to everybody. But the main thing is also a lot of these kids growing up in impoverished backgrounds, where their family doesn't have the means financially to actually provide everything that they really, really need. So I thought about saying, I have this janitorial service, and I have all this equipment, and he has over 100 kids. So what we basically coming to you for in a nutshell is asking you for an opportunity to do some of this work around the city, as far as putting these guys to work. Like I'm originally from LaGrange, but I think it was the CETA program, if I'm correct. Back then, when I was 14 years old, I could get a work permit, go to work for the city. We'd be picking up tree limbs. They had us doing all kind of stuff. Well, I'm not sure if that's happening right now, but back then, we were able to do that, and it also kept us busy, kept us out of trouble, and kept a little money in our pocket. We was able to get our own little school clothes. We was able to help our parents out if they needed as well. So we actually, we're looking at trying to do a joint venture, with the kids we have over there and the company. I mean, pressure washing, beautifying the city, janitorial work, taking care of all the city vehicles, and county too as well. I know this is the city, but yeah. So we're looking at trying to do something like that. Obviously, all the cleaning, paper around the city. It's a whole lot of work that we provide that can be done around here, and we can put these kids to work from 14, 18 years old. And then also, I think we can become a feeder to the workforce, because everybody's not going to go to college. It's just not going to happen, But I know one thing, that if you teach a kid when they're young about having work ethic, then they're a lot better off than the ones that don't, and they'll start making split decisions about how I'm gonna get some money real fast, which leads to all other type of things. So with that being said, that's what we're asking for. We ask for opportunity to actually be a feeder to the workforce. The ones that don't go to college, guess what? They got something they can put on their resume for 3-4 years that we can back up. Some of the things we're looking at that we would like to do, obviously they would all be in uniforms. They would have on the proper safety gear. They have to be clean cut, obviously, because they would be representing, obviously, us and the city as well. So, and then we also wanted to do some things for them as far as giving them incentives. Employee of the month, just like a regular job. Payroll, take a payroll check. Have a savings account for them, set up just like a regular company. So those are the things that we're looking at that we would love to do, but we need you guys' help because we got to have the work to do it with.
Well, I appreciate your presentation, Mr. Brewer, and certainly that sounds like a very good opportunity to both serve the needs of the community as well as provide work for young people in the community. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to work with our city manager, Ms. Kelsey,
okay.
And make sure that y'all have each other's contact information and see what opportunities might be available. The mayor and council don't really get involved in that detailed a level of discussion, but that's something we rely upon our staff for. But Ms. Kelsey, if you would meet with Mr. Brewer and Mr. Childs and see what opportunities there might be for services that they could potentially provide some work in the community. And then what will happen is Ms. Kelsey will bring that back to us with a recommendation if there is any kind of funding involved, or if it's within the budget existing, she can do that on her own without having to come back if it doesn't require any kind of budget amendment. So,
okay.
So that would be the appropriate process to talk to her. But I appreciate you bringing the idea to our attention, and certainly think that we can find probably some meaningful solution. And certainly, Mr. Childs, thank you for all that you're doing through the mentoring program. As you say, it is hard to believe that that's been going on 7 years, and that the city. I remember when we first met and talked about it. But that's great. I know you've been doing a lot of good work in the community, and appreciate that. Any comments or questions from the council?
I have a comment. I just want to thank him for doing, Mr. Childs, for doing such a great job with these children. I followed some of them, and you all are doing a good job. So thank you so very much, and keep good work up.
Thank you, sir. And I want to thank you, especially in the midst of the pandemic, for standing in the gap. Continue, whatever you need, we're here.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to say the same thing. I mean, I hadn't followed any of the kids that are in the program, but I see your work all over town, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Deal.
Mr. Childs, you're not going to get away without me saying something. Good job. I appreciate you thinking outside the box and growing your organization by partnering with private industries. I don't think this will be your last partnership, and I wish you the best of luck, because actually you're doing exactly what you and I had talked about when I first came in office, is partnering with private industries and growing it, because the children do need this kind of development. Yeah. And so I applaud you for doing what it is you're doing, and thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate you being with us. We will move on to reports, and I will ask if any council members have anything they would like to report tonight.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a report. Last time, I think I blasted the Troup County Health Department. I
I
want to,
think that's an accurate description.
yes, I did. I want to give them some kudos tonight and thank them, Leslie and her nursing staff. They're doing a great job. It is not our Troup County Health Department's fault as much as it is the state's fault. I found out the calling system and everything, that is the state is the one that controls that. And for those people that cannot get in contact with that crazy number to try to get your vaccine, just go over to the health department, walk over there, give them your name, and Leslie and her nursing staff will do all they can to get you on the list for your vaccine. So I want to, just like I blast them, I want to give them some kudos.
I appreciate that,
Yes.
Dr. Edmondson. Thank you. Any other comments?
I got a comment. I'd like to address with the chief and the city manager, the officer that made the traffic stop that realized there was some stolen yard equipment and stuff in the vehicle. Want to give the officer kudos for looking beyond being aware of what was going on and alert. And I think it's led to several burglaries that's been solved and many thefts in my district. And I want to say, tell the officer that did that, thank you from me.
Well, thank you, Councilman. Actually, it was a team effort, a crime analyst going through the reports and video, just got just a little bit of a vehicle description and sent it out. And she saw it down by the flower streets late at night, was involved in an illegal traffic maneuver, stopped it, and as a result, we've recovered thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And I think we've probably dozens of burglaries from here to Atlanta. Dozens and dozens of burglaries from here. So I will pass that on. And again, it goes back to the technology and the support that you all have provided. It's rare for an agency our size to have two analysts, and having that information and being able to get it out every day to our officers allow opportunities like that. So thank you. I'll pass that on.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell.
I just want to also highlight today that our work session was held at the Cochran Galleries. And I don't think we know what a jewel we have in our area. Go by the Cochran Gallery. I think the hours are 1 to 5 on Wednesday through Friday or Saturday. Go by a plethora of African American art and art by women. And we just don't really know what we have in our midst. Just stop in to go see it, because I think that the CBAA and the Cochran Galleries, they both do a very good work. And sometimes, if you don't have anything to do, you just want something to do, just go by and look at some of the art.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Councilman Kimmy. It was certainly a wonderful opportunity for the council to view that collection. Any other council members?
I don't have a report, but I just want to remind everybody that we'll be at Berta's Weatherby this Saturday. Come join us for a community cleanup. Love to have each and every one of you there. It's always nice to fellowship and work together, because it really is a time to get to meet not only your elected officials, but the city staff, and help make LaGrange a beautiful place. So I look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you.
I think at the last council session, we honored through a video Tribe Ujima, which has taken the city council, the city and council and the city manager have been working on this litter cleanup project for a couple of years now, and have been going all over the community doing that. And Tribe Ujima has picked up on that and started. We've been providing some supplies and some other resources, but they have been doing that work in the community. And just this week, I saw that the sheriff's department has also followed the lead, and Sheriff Woodruff and several of the deputies and some of the inmates as well were doing a cleanup project, and they gave a shout out to the city as well for helping them with the supplies. So that certainly seems to be catching on. It's a tremendous need in the community. There's not one simple solution for it, but I'm glad that different people are making a difference. And you all have an opportunity to join in making a difference this Saturday at 8 o'clock at Berta Weatherspoon. Thank you, Councilman Edmondson. Councilman Cassidy. Sorry, I'm looking at you and talking about him. I apologize. Hey,
Dad.
Dr. Gore, you haven't said anything. Are you have anything to report?
I know you'll be disappointed, but I don't have a report.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we will move on to city manager report. And Ms. Kelsey?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, there's a couple tonight. First, we have representatives with us from Groundswell to give us an update on the SOUL program. Dr. Shirley will be giving this presentation that looks like.
Well, I think Michelle Moore is standing and heading this way. So as I mentioned to council this morning at work session, obviously the council committed tremendous funding last year to this SOUL initiative, $550,000 of funding to try and help bring some energy efficiency to the homes in our community. Many of which, as council knows, we have one of the lowest utility rates of any community in the state. Our electric rate is lower than anybody around us, and yet we still have residents who have very high utility bills. And of course, the analogy I always use is that the price of gasoline is the same, but if you drive a 1979 Oldsmobile Cutlass, you're going to use a lot more gas than if you drive a 2021 Kia Optima. And that's just, everyone's paying the same rate, but they're using a lot more gas. And so what we've discovered is we have a lot of housing in our community that is in need of energy efficiency upgrades. And this program that SOUL and Groundswell have brought to us is an attempt to start addressing that. And so I appreciate the preliminary work. And I know it's preliminary. The program's just getting started, but I appreciate the preliminary work that Michelle and Alicia and Tiara and the whole team have done. And I also appreciate the fact that the Callaway Foundation, see Mr. Penn, President of the Callaway Foundation is here, appreciate the fact they partnered through this to layer a Healthy Homes initiative on top of that. So with all that in mind, we started this back in the fall, and I'm delighted that Michelle is here to give us an update on their initial work and maybe share with us how this is progressing. So, Michelle?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, everybody. I'm just going to keep my phone here with me to make sure I keep to time this evening. So it's a pleasure to be here. And, as we get started, I really want to introduce and acknowledge someone who's incredibly important on our team, Mr. Linwood Coleman. Linwood is our Chief Program Officer, and Linwood is my partner in all things. And I'm so appreciative of his leadership and the work that he has led in coming into the community.
Linwood, if you would come to the microphone, I think that way we are filming the meeting, and so it will give an opportunity for you to be heard.
As Michelle has said, I'm her partner, and I'm with Groundswell. I'm the Chief Program Officer, and I wanted to start by saying thank you, Mayor, Council, and the community and agencies all involved in making this program a success. You all have been extremely warm and have opened your arms to support this program and making me feel extremely comfortable in LaGrange. I've had fun working with everyone, and we look forward to the team concept of making communities better. And with that, I pass it back to my partner, Michelle Moore, and she will take you all through the process.
Thank you, Linwood.
All right, and we have a lot of folks here who are part of the program this evening. We'll acknowledge them as we go through. You all know Tiara Harris, who is really the heart of the SOUL program, and my colleague Alicia Hill as well, and many others as Linwood had shared. So, first, just kind of a reminder, a refresher for everybody what SOUL is about. And it is a program that we're very grateful that y'all have approved, that Meg, that you and Patrick have supported, and Alton as well. And ultimately, it's really about community, right? It's about working with our residents, our community members, our neighbors in LaGrange who have the highest energy bills, related to having the highest energy usage, and then putting energy efficiency programs in place for their homes that help them reduce their bills, paid for by energy savings over time. You can go ahead to the second slide. And there's a lot of technology and a lot of analysis behind SOUL. We'll be talking a little bit about that this evening too. But at the end of the day, It's really about community. It's about neighbors helping neighbors. It's about us working with our partners to make sure that the investments that the city is making in residents' homes are being reinvested in the community and local businesses and local jobs. You can flip to the next page. And this is just a little picture of the extended team at Groundswell that's working on the program. You know our local folks. You've met me in Linwood. LaGrange is my hometown. And we're also supported by colleagues in D.C. David Wright, Dr. Elvis Maleka, and Nicole Sondernegger, who helped to support the program as well. So we've got a robust back office working for the team in LaGrange. Next slide. So how does SOUL work? This is just a high-level overview of the program. So we work prioritizing low and moderate income residents, which is consistent with the source of the funding, right? Community development funds from the city of LaGrange. And we perform initial in-home assessments, followed by a very detailed energy efficiency assessment to identify everything that we can do in that home, to help to reduce energy bills, improve energy efficiency, paid for with savings over time. Next slide. This is what that looks like as a process chart. And next slide. And as I shared, Tiara is very much at the center, and just to lift up her role, not only as it relates to the SOUL program and her work with Groundswell, but also what we're doing to work to really connect and serve and provide connections to wraparound services to the residents that we're engaging with. Tiara is very much the tip of the spear in all of that work. From performing an initial assessment in homes, once people call to sign up. And that initial assessment is really about understanding a little bit about what's going on in the home. Are there roof leaks? Are there structural issues? Are there other challenges that would prevent them from moving forward in an energy efficiency program? Or is their house in pretty good shape? Is it ready to move forward to a full energy audit and onto a full installation? It is always Tiara who is on point, working with residents. And it's Tiara who's also working very deeply with residents and making sure that folks understand the program, have all their questions answered, and don't have any concerns through any of the steps of the process. As you'll see, there's a lot of technical know-how that goes into this, a lot of questions that get asked, and we want to make sure that people have a full understanding of how the program works and how the equipment that gets installed can really help to improve their comfort too. Next slide. How are we implementing? So, thanks to Linwood's leadership and to the team here in LaGrange, Groundswell has worked to build a network of partnerships and collaborations because LaGrange is so blessed with many community organizations that are really focused on serving people. And so we find that not only are there opportunities for us to refer, residents who need different types of support related to their homes, there are also opportunities for us to refer people for programs that may be offered by Three Rivers, for instance, which Tiara has led on point on. They're helping elderly residents, with food or with heaters or with supplies associated with meeting the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're working with the Calumet Neighborhood Association, who are dear partners, and we're so grateful for their leadership and for the opportunity to serve. There are many more here that I won't go through all, but we'll also hear a little bit more about what we're doing with South Face. South Face President Andrea Pinnabell is here with us this evening as well. So it is a team effort. Bottom line, y'all, team effort. Next slide, please. E-Utility, is our program provider. About a year ago, y'all met Tammy Agard, who is the president and the founder of E-Utility. We work with them to perform the detailed energy assessments, and it's their science, if you will, on the back end that's helping to inform the prescription, if you will, for each of the homes that we go into. What can we do to really bring down that energy usage and start saving people's bills? And Councilmember Gaskins went with us on one of those energy assessments and got to see building science at work. Next slide. I also want to ask some of our contractor partners to stand up, if you will. Solar Time, Ms. Menifee and Mrs. Menifee, and also Costco Jones and your partner in the back, if y'all could wave. We're also working with contractors who are local to the community, who are committed to training people in the community, so the jobs associated with installations on these houses stay in the community. And of course, Jackson Services, Dale is not here with us this evening, but Dale has been at many meetings where we talked about this stuff together, and his commitment to the community, of course, is something that we are all very aware of and get to see in action every day. So very appreciative to our contractor team members for being with us tonight as well. Next slide. Okay, so what are we finding? Next slide, please. So, just to remind everybody, the mayor has shared with us what the goals were. It's all about reducing energy usage, reducing energy bills for low-income members of our community. And we were targeting an initial 60 homes with high energy usage in LMI neighborhoods focused on census tracts to roll this program out. Next slide. A couple of folks have asked questions about how we did the targeting, so I wanted to go through that just at a high level. And Patrick really talked about this from a utility perspective. We wanted to make sure that we were making promises and keeping them. So we wanted to engage very directly with the residents of the community who would be most likely to benefit from the program. We didn't want to dangle an opportunity out there, that folks wouldn't necessarily be able to take advantage of. So Dr. Maleka on our team led a very detailed data analysis, looking at 13 months of utility bills and targeting very specifically where were those residential customers that had the highest usage, so 20% plus more than median energy usage in LaGrange for residential customers, and where were those homes located? Were they in census tracts that were complied with the program requirements? And then for an extra measure, which residents had the greatest difference between their heating load and their cooling load? Because that's really a marker for the SOL program being optimized to work for them. And so, next slide, this is what we found. And I will just kind of highlight a couple of these numbers and take questions, Mr. Mayor, if that's appropriate.
Yes, that's fine.
So, right about 3,000, residents citywide had 20+% greater energy usage than the median. So that's all census tracts. Almost half, 47% of residents with the highest energy usage are in low and moderate income communities. Within that cohort, 824 are potential SOL users, and 386 are really in the sweet spot, right? So very high energy bills related to very high energy usage, and a big difference between heating load and cooling load, all of which are markers for there being a tremendous opportunity in those homes for energy efficiency. So, and this just kind of steps down so you can see the information in a different way in a bar chart. And again, our focus was really here for the SOL pilot program for this past year and continues to be our focus on users who could best take advantage of the program. Next slide. And so you can see what that looks like. We did a plot for you here of LaGrange, just with the census tracts highlighted. And you can see, probably no surprises in terms of where some of the greatest needs are in the community as it relates to, residential retrofits, improvement of the built environment, where the concentration is of, homes, residents, our neighbors that could most benefit from this program. And just, you may be wondering, what is the color code behind the pin dots? There is a science to that as well. Each of the census tract has its own PIN dot code, and then we also have a number of layers built in there that you'll see on subsequent slides that denotes who's already signed up for the program, where we found condition issues, and who's already had installations completed. Next slide. All right. So this is an important finding that we wanted to highlight, and I'll walk you through these steps so I can explain a little bit what's behind each of them. So we've had 165 residents who signed up, who reached out with interest in the SOL program. Of the folks who reached out, 95 were eligible. So that means we had a lot of people who called initially who weren't eligible for the program, but who heard about it, who were interested, and who reached out. Of those 95 that we've engaged with, 53% of the homes that we assessed for SOL had structural or other repair issues that prevented them from being able to proceed with the program. 29 of those homes had pretty serious condition issues. So that might be a foundation issue, might be a serious roof leak. It may be, in some cases there were much more challenged homes, homes that had a bat infestation. homes that had very serious issues with sewage leakage from the black water sewage in the home. But we've identified those repair issues. You'll hear how we're referring those, as we move forward in the presentation. And 20 of them were more minor repairs. So that might be a minor roof leak that could be fixed and enable the home to proceed with sold to be able to access more savings. And I know when we had those one-on-one meetings with y'all a couple of years back now, many of you had expressed concern about what the condition issues were in some homes and what would we do, when we ran into those. And I would say that from my own completely unscientific perspective, and in this particular case anyway, I knew that we would run into some of those challenges. I was anticipating maybe 20-25%, of the homes that we visited might have condition issues. 53% is significantly higher than what I would have anticipated, but it does indicate not just a need, but also an opportunity for council and for other community organizations in LaGrange, and to develop strategies that are meeting what's now a much better quantified and very specific set of needs for the community. Next slide. So this is what the pipeline looks like, and just to kind of give you a high level of where we are. So we've got 37 homes that are in progress, 20 homes that are pending minor repairs, to be able to proceed. So that puts us at 57, total that are in the pipeline, if you will. And we're continuing to take additional signups and to perform new assessments for people to be able to proceed in the program. So that assessment is that initial check, right? That's, are there condition issues that would prevent you from being able to proceed with a full blower door test and all the building science to understand what the needs are? The pending copay. One of the things that we found in some homes that we went into was there were great energy savings there to be had, but the savings didn't fully cover the cost, of the required installations. So through our collaboration with Southface and the HERE program, many of those copays are being covered. So those residents will be able to proceed forward. And it's important just to share some stories with you. Some of the residents, some of the homes that we saw, there wasn't sufficient savings, to be able to pay for the full installation up front, but it's because people were just living in one room or maybe two rooms. They didn't have, they knew that they wouldn't be able to pay their utility bills because of the lack of efficiency in the system. So maybe they had a propane heater that they were all gathered around to keep comfortable. So it wasn't that the energy efficiency need wasn't there for comfort and well-being and health, it's that people were just living really miserably, because they knew they had to stay within their means. And pending installation means we're just about to finish the install, and then 8 of those installations have been completed. Go to the next slide. And this is what that looks like on a map. And just to give you a little bit of the color code here, and this is information that we'll be sharing, the full shape file, the full GIS file with the City of LaGrange. The red pins are where there are condition issues. Dark green is where installations have been completed, etc. Okay. Next slide. So as a part of that initial assessment, 73 of the homes that we've been to so far have received what we call a direct install. So regardless of whether you're able to proceed to a full retrofit, every single home gets energy efficient light bulbs, LED light bulbs, and a hot water heater wrap, and also some basic information about energy efficiency in their home. And it sounds like a small thing, but it does actually help reduce the bill over the course of the year and make your home a little bit more comfortable. Next slide. The next stage, the energy efficiency assessment. That's what you see here. The photos are the duct blaster and the blower door test to find every single air leak in your house. Anybody who's interested in seeing this in practice, we'd love to invite you out to take a look at it. And socially distant, appropriate way, of course, but to see what this looks like in action. More than 30 homes who've been through this process have now received their Easy Plan, with the Easy Plan being the prescription, if you will, for energy efficiency for that home. Next slide. And the Southface, HERE program, Andrea, right in the back, which is specifically focused on creating healthier homes for the community, is an important partner for the effort. And because by leveraging the two programs together, we can get more impact for the community, not only in terms of the HERE program helping to cover the copay needs, because energy efficiency and having proper air exchange and good filtration is all part of having a healthier home, but we're also referring the homes that we find that have, repair and condition issues that Soul may not be able to address, but that here may be able to. So those homes go to South Face for referral, for them to then address from a health and well-being perspective to identify where they're able to help improve conditions for residents. Next slide. So far, we've referred 20 homes that need minor repairs and are awaiting the next steps for South Face. And then just yesterday, actually, we sent over a list of an additional 29 homes rather. Those have more serious condition issues. TBD, how the HERE program may be able to help with those. But I think that what's important here to illustrate for council and for the community as well is that we're working together. Not just with South Face and HERE, but with many other community organizations to maximize benefits to residents and to make sure that we're all increasing our impact in the process. Next slide. So what are some outcomes for residents to date? All right. So of the 8 retrofits that have been completed, so installations are done and folks have at least one utility bill under their belt. So the average cost per home is about $4,700 and change per installation. Clearly that's often including not just weatherization and duct sealing, but that's also including HVAC, new systems, and significant improvements. The aggregate savings is over $4,400 per year, aggregate being across all 8 homes that have been installed so far. And so that's an average savings per household of about $555 per year, which is sufficient to not only pay back, the cost of that install, but residents are enjoying savings in the process. Next slide. So just 2 examples, 2 stories so far. And, the Morrisons, and we'll see another family on the second slide, who've received some significant, HVAC and weatherization upgrades and are cutting their utility bills by more than 50%. And the Gates family, similarly, very large, savings from the energy efficiency improvements. And previously they had energy bills on the regular that were over $400 per month. So we're seeing the impacts that we had hoped to see. Next slide. So a little bit about where we are. Groundswell is very grateful to be formally establishing a LaGrange office, thanks to the collaboration with the Calumet. So we're very grateful to you, Ms. Jones, and to Dr. Tucker, and look forward to being able to be there present and in person. Next slide. And we're continuing to build partnerships. Many of our other partners are here. Linwood shared that there's no way that we could call out everybody without missing some folks. But I definitely do want to acknowledge the LaGrange Housing Authority. Mr. Ernest Pickett was here just a minute ago. There he is, Mr. Pickett. So we appreciate working with you all as well. And also, I would say, one of our team's informal advisors, Sandy, thank you so much for being here with us this evening as well. Circles, Judge Little. It's just been a real community effort. Wanda Walker. And we're so glad for the opportunity to collaborate. Next slide. So, what do we see for the future? And certainly, we look forward and hope to be able to continue this program into the future in collaboration with the City of LaGrange and other partners to continue to deliver, for residents. But we also see a broader opportunity so that we're continuing to build deeper connections with other local organizations working to serve community members so that we can provide, wraparound services together. Respectful of, private information, of course, but to really treat it as a service, as clients, of all of us. So that by sharing information, sharing knowledge, sharing what we learn from understanding the information and the data that's coming back from these programs, we can all serve better. So, any questions?
Well, no questions from me, Michelle, but thank you, and thank you and all of your team and all of the partners who have participated in this program. This I recognize that this is slow work, but it's very important work, and it's something that we've been talking about for a couple of years now. We have all recognized that housing issues were important in our community, and particularly the need for improving substandard housing, particularly in the low and moderate income neighborhoods. And so there have been lots of organizations working together around that, but this was really an innovative program and an opportunity for us to focus in on the energy efficiency aspect of it, and which is obviously important to the city for lots of reasons. But I appreciate all of the work that you're doing on it. Certainly appreciate the partnerships, because that is critical to me. In anything that's going to be long-term sustainable and have a significant impact on the community, it's got to be broad-based, and it's got to involve lots of organizations. And I appreciate you and Linwood and others who have helped to facilitate those relationships. Certainly, I'm grateful to the Callaway Foundation and to South Face for that partnership with the HERE program, because I do think it is a great, partner for the SOUL program. And I just would like to thank the members of the City Council, because it was it was something of a risk for the council to take, to commit this level of funding to a new program, which has not been done in Georgia, to my knowledge. I think there have been a couple of other states where cities have done similar programs, but this was a first, not just for the city of LaGrange, but for the state of Georgia, for a city to take a program, design a program like this, particularly for energy efficiency, and then certainly innovative to layer it alongside the Healthy Homes program. And so the members of the council unanimously supported this funding back last summer, and I think you are all to be commended for taking this, making this investment in the people of LaGrange, and in particularly the most vulnerable members of our community. And so I appreciate that. Obviously, we are very hopeful that this will have an impact in the lives of some of those vulnerable citizens in our community, some of which you showed 2 examples of on the screen. And then we also recognize that we're gaining a lot of data through this process, and we're learning a lot about the scope and extent of the issues, and that will help us both redesign the SOUL program potentially, or the HERE program, but also potentially look for opportunities to layer other programs along with that. So we're both improving the actual lives of real citizens that we can demonstrate, and we're also developing some significant data from a policy perspective that we can use in the future to look at addressing even more concerns. So thank everybody for putting this together, and I'll stop and see what questions or comments the council members might have.
I just have one comment, well, maybe a couple. No, it sounds like y'all are off to a great start. I mean, that's what I had hoped for in when we started talking about it. You probably are seeing more houses that need more work than we anticipated, but I think at least that's a great start where we're at. And I jotted down some questions, and you answered every one of them during your program, so yeah. I don't have any questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to say that, you know, from the start of this program, I too was kind of skeptic as to whether it would take. But as I look out across this room and look at the partnerships that you have created, it is phenomenal. And it serves to be a model for other endeavors in this city. Like the mayor said, you know, something of this magnitude, you can't go at it alone. You have to form a coalition of different entities, because you never know what you're going to run into. And I appreciate you improving the quality of life in the city. God bless you all for that. It's what was needed, and I'm glad we invested it. I think the money was very wisely spent. But I think you're being a little modest. Since you started this program, have any other cities become interested in it?
Yes, sir. They have, and in part thanks to the outreach of folks on this council and of the mayor. But we're talking with West Point and with Hogansville, thanks to Tiara's outreach, about expanding the SOUL program there.
That's fantastic. I just wanted to make sure that came up, because I want the council to know that we are leading the way in the community, and what we do, the decisions we make here matter tremendously, not just to the residents of LaGrange, but to the entire region.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing from you soon with even more information.
Absolutely.
So
Much more to come, and y'all know where to find us.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on. While we're still on city manager report, we are declaring some property surplus.
Yes, accepted a request from Russ Davidson. He's interested in acquiring about 10 acres of land that the city owns at 645 Hudson Road. We did have a lengthy discussion about this morning in our work session. Council kind of has a couple options. One is you could really do nothing and just continue to own the property, maintain the property. Two, you would have to declare this surplus in order to facilitate the transfer of the property. And three, you could do that through the minimum bid, which is, if you desire to do that, I would recommend that. We purchased this property many years ago for $93,500. We had a recent appraisal of the property, and it appraised for $73,000. And Mr. Davidson had appraisal that's part of his request, and it appraised for $55,000. So I'm looking for some direction from the council as to whether you want to retain this property, whether or not you want to declare it a surplus. We had acquired this property many years ago to site a water tank, and as Patrick Bowie indicated to you this morning, we really don't think that'll be necessary in the future, but there might be some other possible use. Don't have one right now, don't have an intended use for the property, but that's certainly at the discretion of the mayor and council.
And just to clarify for the record, if the council does declare the property surplus, then the city manager would take sealed bids. So this is not like a situation where you would negotiate with the one particular buyer. You would take sealed bids, and anybody could submit a bid, and we would obviously sell to the highest bidder. The council does have the option as part of that to set a minimum bid, and if the minimum bid was not met, then the property would not sell.
That minimum bid would be what we paid for, correct?
That's up to the council. So what I would do is I would entertain a motion. If you were inclined to declare it surplus, I would entertain a motion to declare it surplus and set a minimum bid. Or if you take no action, then the property will just remain city property.
I make a motion that we declare it surplus with a minimum bid of what we paid for.
Second.
And so just for the clarification, Ms. Kelsey, that was $93,500.
That's correct. I looked on the tax card today.
So I have a motion and a second to declare it surplus with a minimum bid of $93,500. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, would it be appropriate for us to ask the appraiser to describe why they put the value on it that they did? Is that an appropriate request?
I don't think we have the appraiser here, so I don't think we could do that now.
We have a report that
We have-
We do.
published with the council.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's part of my comment is that it's a record that we paid a certain amount for it, but it's also a record that we have an appraisal for a certain amount. And in my experience, I don't think I've ever, that I can recall, bought anything paying more, much more, or at least not much different than what the appraised property value was. So it kind of makes sense to me that if we trust our appraiser, that's what the property is worth.
And
I think it's kind of a stretch to ask somebody to pay what we decided 20 years ago it was worth. That could have been worth that at that time, or we could have overpaid for it just because we were so interested in the property itself. Sometimes people, of course, will pay more than what a piece of property is actually worth. But anyway, that's my suggestion, is that if it's appraised for that, then that's what it's really worth. And I don't see the logic. If we're not interested in selling it, okay, fine. But if we're interested in selling it, I think we should sell it for what it's appraised for.
And just to clarify for the record, the appraisal that was referenced was for $73,000, and that was an appraisal by Ms. Joyce Trimble, who was engaged by the city manager. So that was an appraisal that, even though she's not here tonight, we have a written report.
We do.
But that was actually the appraisal that the city engaged. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, any more I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Mayor, I'd just like to say, I think I'm in with Dr. Gore. Put it as, what our appraiser said it was worth, if we want to sell it. If we don't want to sell it, then we just hold it, just keep it.
Yeah. And of course, as I said, if you do set the minimum bid at whatever you set it at, if it goes out to bid and nobody was willing to pay that minimum price, it simply doesn't sell. And the council could always, I guess, revisit that at a future meeting and lower that minimum bid if you were still of a mindset to sell it if it doesn't get any bids at that price. But there I'm just giving you your options. So okay, so I had a motion from Dr. Edmondson, seconded by Councilman Mitchell, I think, to declare surplus and to sell with a minimum bid of $93,500. Any more discussion? Okay, if you would approve the motion, please uplift the right hand. Okay, so I've got 4 votes to approve the motion. If you would oppose the motion, please uplift the right hand.
I don't necessarily oppose it.
Okay, well, you got a choice. So you're for it or against it.
You asked for this job.
Okay, so the motion passes by a vote of 4-2 with Ms. Olson, you have the record of the voting. Okay, so that passes 4-2. All right, we'll move on to resolutions, and we have a resolution adopting the 2021 comprehensive plan.
Yes, sir. So several weeks ago, we actually had a public hearing on our comp plan. We did not receive any comments. This was basically led by Mark Costa, our city planner, the effort for this, as well as our RDC up in Franklin, and as well as a committee of citizens that Mr. Arrington chaired on that. So we appreciate all the efforts. We did hear back from DCA today after we had that public hearing. We sent the document for review and approval from the Department of Community Affairs. Today they notified us that this document is now approved. At this time, we have a resolution to adopt the plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution adopting the plan. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That passes unanimously. Okay, before we move on to the next 4 resolutions, which all relate to service delivery strategy, I just want to make a couple of comments for the benefit of the record, and then we will move on to the 4 resolutions. The service delivery strategy requires all local governments in the county to come together to discuss how best we can provide services to our residents. The purpose of the strategy is to make sure that services are provided in the most effective and most efficient ways possible. This process happens once every 10 years. County Chairman Patrick Cruz called together the mayors and city managers of the 3 cities in Troup County to meet with him and the county manager early last summer. We decided as a group to let the 4 managers work together through the details of the agreement and bring to our attention any areas of concern. This process has taken many months. It has involved detailed discussions and negotiations. As with any negotiation, there has been give and take. I often say, council has heard me say this many times, that the sign of a great deal is when nobody likes it, but everybody can live with it. I would especially like to commend our city manager, Meg Kelsey, for her hard work through this process. Along with key members of her staff, she handled the bulk of the negotiation with the county. As has been reported in the press, Ms. Kelsey and I have come to an agreement with the county that we are prepared to recommend to the city council. At this time, I'm going to pause and let Ms. Kelsey summarize the terms of the deal that we have reached with the county.
Yes, sir. We started with the existing SDS agreement as a template. That document was adopted by the county in all 3 cities in 2011. It addressed 61 services that are provided by one or more of the cities or the county, and it specifies who is responsible for which service. After reviewing the 2011 agreement among the 4 managers, the managers were comfortable continuing the vast majority of those services without a change. We feel like most of the services currently provided to our citizens are being handled effectively and efficiently. There were a couple minor areas of adjustment. As you know, we have placed an emphasis on parks in the past few years, and we are trying to improve our park system. Under the proposed SDS, we will take over responsibility for the parks inside the city and the county will make a cash transfer to us to support that work. In addition, you know that the C&D landfill has been an area of concern for a couple of years, and the county has agreed to be solely responsible for the operation and management of that landfill. We also had to make some minor adjustments to the agreement simply because things change over time. For example, the county no longer operates the work camp, which eliminated our ability to use inmate labor. There have also been some additions over time to services such as housing and workforce development that needed to be adjusted. But for the most part, the agreement from 2011 has worked well for us and the other local governments. I will tell you that when we started this process, I asked for more from the county. My review of the current service delivery responsibilities and the sources of revenue led me to believe that LaGrange was entitled to significantly more services or alternatively more funding from the county. The county obviously had a different perspective. The county manager, Mr. Mosley, and I were able to negotiate through those issues, and I appreciate the county's willingness to engage in a back and forth discussion that the mayor has described. I think that it resulted in a fair deal for both parties. I would obviously be glad to answer any specific questions, but as the mayor said, I am comfortable recommending this agreement to the council.
Thank you, Ms. Kelsey. Although it appears that the county and LaGrange, as well as the county and Hogansville, were able to use a negotiation process to reach a fair deal and a good compromise, the same has apparently not happened between the county and West Point. There are a few days left, but we are moving dangerously close to the deadline of February 28th, and it remains entirely possible that state-imposed sanctions will begin next Monday, March the 1st. I am reminded that while I would like for everyone to be happy and pleased with the terms of the SDS agreement, my primary obligation is to the people of LaGrange, who elected me to represent their interests. With that in mind, I'm going to make some recommendations to the council that I hope you will consider following. First, I would recommend that the City Council adopt the service delivery agreement as proposed and adopted last week by the County Board of Commissioners, and that you authorize me to sign that agreement. Second, I would like the council also to adopt a resolution authorizing me to request an extension of the SDS deadline from DCA if the other parties are not able to reach an agreement by this Friday. I believe such a request would probably need to be unanimous, and I am not sure the county or other cities will request an extension, but I will encourage them to do so if they haven't reached a deal. State-imposed sanctions would not be good for the city or our residents or our businesses. Third, I would like the council to adopt an intergovernmental agreement between LaGrange and Troup County that would incorporate the terms of the newly negotiated service delivery strategy as they relate to us and the county. In other words, even if Hogansville and West Point hold out, whether we get an extension or not, and whether sanctions are imposed or not, LaGrange and Troup County can confirm our deal and start acting on it accordingly. Finally, I'm recommending a resolution finding that Kia Boulevard and Kia Parkway in West Point are roads of county-wide significance. This appears to be one of the big sticking points for West Point. Given the number of jobs located on the Kia pad, those roads that provide access to it are important to all of us, including many residents of LaGrange. My goal here is for us to confirm for the benefit of West Point that we acknowledge the importance of those roads. This resolution will commit our support that countywide funding in the next SPLOST referendum should include funding for the maintenance of those roads. That funding would come off the top, if you will, in the SPLOST, and the balance would be divided between the governments for other projects. What I plan to do is to call for each resolution in turn. Certainly we can discuss them if you like, or if you're comfortable moving forward, we can take action tonight.
Mr. Mayor, could we do all four at one time?
If that is your wish.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the SDS, also authorize for extension, if possible, the intergovernmental agreement, and the along with the Kia Boulevard and Parkway.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adopt all four resolutions that have been laid before the council. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That all four pass unanimously. Okay, Thank you all very much. We will move on to first reading of ordinances.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of LaGrange to amend the code of the city, to amend the code so as to modify the compensation for the office of mayor, to repeal conflicting ordinances, to fix an effective date, and for other purposes.
And we have a first reading amending the water and wastewater user charges.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of LaGrange to amend the water and wastewater user charges in certain special districts, to modify wastewater connection charges, to repeal conflicting ordinances, to fix an effective date, and for other purposes.
And then we'll move on to second reading ordinances. We have an ordinance rezoning property located at 111 and 115 Fort Drive from R3 residential to C3 general commercial.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of LaGrange to amend the zoning map and ordinances of the city so as to reclassify the use zone of real estate located at 111 and 115 Fort Drive and owned by Dorothy Lynn Murphy, to repeal conflicting ordinances, to fix an effective date, and for other purposes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That passes unanimously. All right. I appreciate all of you who have stayed with us till the end of the meeting. And at this time, I will turn to Ms. Van Shore to close us.
Yes, sir. Our good news, you already mentioned the litter cleanup this weekend. We're very excited about that. Saturday, February 27th, 8 to 10 at Berta. We also have another cleanup at Calumet Park. Our partners are going to be Calumet Park Neighborhood Association, the Chamber's Leadership Troop Class 2020-2021, and the Kiwanis Club of LaGrange. Very proud of our partnership. That's going to be March 6th, 8 to 10. And also, we're very proud of a recruitment video that we did for Chief Dekmar and LPD, and we'd like to show it to you. We'll be doing a similar video for the fire department as well. But we're excited about what we came up with, thanks to Chief Dekmar.
I love LaGrange. It's not a big city. So working as a police officer, you get kind of to know everybody, know the streets, know where all the hot spots are so you can keep an eye on them, interact with everybody so everybody knows you. So to me, LaGrange is the perfect size city to work for, especially if you're working for a police department.
One thing that separates the LaGrange Police Department from other agencies is our pay. We're one of the highest paying agencies around.
Making contact with the community, helping others, being an ambassador to the city and for the city. It was an excellent department to work for. And those who've been with the police department for a certain amount of time are able to take home a car. It is a great benefit to the officer as well.
If you have a chance to go to school, like I have a bachelor's degree, and if I want to go and get my master's, they will put you to school to progress yourself. So it's a great place if you want to progress, if you want to get promoted.
There are several opportunities to grow in the LaGrange Police Department. Great group of men and women that has a common goal to protect the city and cut back on crime.
When you get here, you're treated like a brother or sister, and you're going to have older officers or generations that are going to take you in up under their wings, and they're going to actually teach you what you need to know.
Certified. CALEA is the national standard for police departments.
Our chief is the former president of CALEA and a former president of the Chief Association. So we are held on a higher standard than other departments. It makes a lot of difference to work for LaGrange Police Department.
We do a lot of community outreach. With that, I think that we're making a difference in our community, showing a lot of support to our citizens, so they're giving us the same support that we're trying to give them. We have Paw Day. We bring the community together and let them see our dogs and interact with the dogs and do a lot of demonstrations. We also have a national night out where the department gets together with the community and we bring citizens out, let them see what different venues that we have set up for them to be engaged in.
Our Citizens Police Academy held at the training center, that's something that would inform people about all the questions they have when it comes to law enforcement.
We have the bike unit that you can join, the K9 unit. We have ESU, which is basically our SWAT team. Drug investigations, CID, community outreach unit, SIU. There's plenty of opportunities, especially being young coming in and getting started.
So whatever you're looking for a great opportunity and turn it into a career, LaGrange Police Department is the place for you.
Excellent video. Appreciate everyone's work. Great department to work for. Thank you, Chief, for your leadership. Thank you, Kate. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.